Pilgrims, and welcome to another episode of the Polygon Pilgrimage. Today I have a neat little trick for you, something simple, but it saves you a lot of time. So let's go ahead and get started and explain what we're looking at here. So I've created for this sample scene just a quick little pillar here, and let's pretend that my idea is to have these pillars at exactly these intersection points of the grid. And so the overall desire here is to have multiple pillars, and I want to line them up with these points. Well, especially when you're working with a modular kit, accuracy is of the utmost importance. And with these pillars, you'll notice if I look at their positions, I'm getting not quite one, which I happen to know for this grid, one works out just fine. So if I put this to 1 and you to 2, I know that mathematically they are correctly on the intersections here. But assume you're working with a non-uniform grid, but you have to make sure that these pillars are exactly at these intersections. Well, that can become difficult sometimes, especially with trying to use the snapping. If I'm trying to use the snapping here, all I really get are these corners, and so snapping to the corner doesn't quite work. See how I'm snapping the corner of this pillar to the intersection, but I want the center of the bottom, essentially, of this to be right at the intersection. Now, as we mentioned with this grid, it happens to be very, very easy to do so mathematically. But let's find a way to do this that we don't have to rely on math all the time, because if we have something that is non-uniform, we want to still be able to make this happen. So enter pillar B over here. And pillar B has a secret. He looks identical, he was made identically, and he looks identical to pillar A, but he has some additional geometry. If you look carefully here, I will change this to wireframe for a moment so we can look at this and I can explain. So pillar A over here, you can see from one side to the other here at the top, it's two triangles or one continuous quad. However, here for pillar B, from one side to the other here on the top, it's 4 triangles or 2 quads. So what I've done simply is right down the middle line of both sides, there is an additional cut. And the reason this is important is if I go underneath, maybe you can see it, yes. If we go underneath in wireframe mode, you can see there's a centralized vertex here now, and that's the secret. On pillar A here, there is no centralized vertex, hence the vertex snapping, if I select the object, it's not able to connect right to the middle there. It bounces around, it looks like it gets close, but it's not really there, and here it's bouncing to every vertex. So if I go over to pillar B, his secret weapon is that he has this center vertex, and we can use that to snap to it. So let's take a quick look at over on the top, go back to our shaded mode, and I'll show you why this is so fantastic. Now with pillar B, if I hold the V key, I know right there is the center, and now I'm snapping the very bottom center directly to grid points with no fear of an error, because I know that it's exactly at the center because I modeled it there. And now to do the desired effect here is very simple. I just do this, right there, boom, move you over, V, boom, there we go. And now I'm creating exact copies in exact positions with no fear of error. A lot easier than having to do a lot of guesswork, especially when you have a non-uniform grid. So I hope you guys have found this useful. Be sure to just model one extra little vertex into your model here. I tried to just make use of that technique by cutting it in half on both sides. That way I have a center line for any decals and that sort of thing. That works out pretty nicely too. Doesn't really add that much overhead to your model, but it saves you tons of time trying to position them in the world, especially if it's something like this that you're going to have dozens of. So I really hope you guys have enjoyed. It's a simple trick, but it's effective. So send in your tricks, send in your tips, anything that you guys are doing that you find a secret like this, or any little time-saving effort. Definitely let us know, and let's share it with all of our fellow pilgrims. So as always, guys, keep practicing, get better, and I will see you next time as the pilgrimage continues.